episode of the Fairway to Retail Success is brought to you by AGM vendor partner T-Commerce, the online retail solution for golf facilities. Give your members 24/7 shopping with no inventory risk. Visit tcommerce.shop to learn more. Now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fairway to Retail Success in AGM podcast. I'm your host, Justine Cook, the AGM's Director of Membership and Education. Today, I'm joined by Ed Winiecki, Assistant Executive Director of the Southern California PGA Section. Ed is a certified PGA professional in all 6 areas of expertise, a certified club manager with the CMAA, and a 14-time PGA Chapter and Section award winner. He's also received the PGA Professional of the Year honor in 2 different sections, Northern California in 2017 and Southern California in 2010. In today's conversation, we'll explore Ed's extraordinary career journey, the lessons he's learned from decades of leadership, and his practical advice for building stronger teams, shops, and member experiences through creativity and collaboration. Ed, thank you so much for joining us today.
Justine, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to see you and do whatever I can for the AGM because it's been near and dear to my heart for many years. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. You've had such a diverse career. How did you first get started in the golf business, and what were some of your key roles and turning points that led you where you are today?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I actually fell in love with the game and got my start working in the golf business at 12 years old. I grew up
Aw.
in Colorado and I was started working at a golf course called Indian Tree Golf Club in Arvada, Colorado. That's where I got my start picking up range balls and doing a whole bunch of things as a kid. And I just kept it going. After college, I tried to play professionally for a very short period of time. And I realized that was not the future because I wasn't as good as I thought I was. So if I couldn't be the best playing professional, I thought I'd be the best PGA professional and someone who can help try to move the needle in the golf industry. And fast forward to where I am today, it really helped me focus more on what my strengths were,
Mm.
which was really everything from operations to golf retail to teaching to managing and not playing. But I still enjoy playing and I'll never let that go, Justine, because I think golf, if I think a lot of people who play, and if you don't play, you should start playing because it can open up some more doors for you as well. So that's been some of the key turning points in I shortened it where I got to where I started in the business. But yeah, it was started at a young age and just golf has always been such a great passion of mine and I want to be around it the rest of my life. Yeah, appreciate that.
Amazing. I know you spent some of your time as a career and business consultant with the PGA along your journey, mentoring, I'm sure, lots of professionals as they were coming up through their careers. What qualities do you think define great leaders, specifically maybe retail leaders in today's golf environment? I know what the needs were maybe 5 or 10 years ago are probably different than they were today. So I'm sure you've seen those changes develop. But what qualities do the great retail leaders need to have and develop to be successful?
Yeah, what's interesting as my career in business consultant years, I had a great chance to work with so many different people in our industry, from general managers to retail managers to merchandisers to head golf professionals and so forth. Along with that, it gave me an opportunity to look at what the job descriptions really entailed and what clubs were looking for, what resorts were looking for. All that being said, it was a wide range of things, but the one common thread that I kept coming back to looking at what employers were looking for standout, specifically for retail managers, buyers, and merchandisers, was someone who had great relationships in the industry was a big plus because working with people when you trust, that can go a long way. That's a quality of great retail leaders I had found is that they're very well networked and they have an opportunity to take advantage of those networks. One, for best practices. Two, to you don't steal ideas, you copy some great stuff and make it your own, as we all know. So I think that having relationships and knowing having a wide range of network in our industry was a very common thread that employers were looking for great retail managers. And I would say that the reason why that's a plus too, because there's so many reps we work with, so many retail companies we work with. And again, it's not just the people in your circle of your common job description. It's also the people that you network with, the people you're buying from, and then their companies, what kind of what kind of relationships do you have with them? That also became such a big benefit for people who were moving up the ladder, especially at the top at any of the clubs in retail.
Absolutely. And I know we always say to our members, you never know who might be a job reference in the future or might even be your colleague. If you change gears and you're suddenly on the vendor side of things, those folks might be your colleagues one day. So you never know where everyone's going to end up.
So true. So true.
One thing I know you've emphasized in some of your past webinars you've done for us is that the best resource of any golf operation is their team. So, can you expand on that philosophy and how leaders can really empower their teams to explore new ideas and ultimately drive results for the business success?
Sure. Yeah. And I appreciate that. I've been fortunate enough to have some great teams throughout my years at different clubs. And I always thought I did a really good job of empowering them to think outside the box and do some things maybe that were different. And in addition to that, look for ways that they could do something so special that they felt not only empowered, but it was a benefit to them both on paper and financially. One example was one of my early merchandising calendars that I came up with that I had used for many years. And I picked things throughout the year, which is not merchandising calendars are not new by any means, but
Mhm.
I picked specific things that each month I would assign one of my team members to build a display, I gave them money to put some stuff to it, and then sell it. So that person owned that display for the entire month. So I had 12 owners of displays for 12 months, and they had to have the idea, had to put it together, had to sell it, and then had to break it down. And I think that type of thing, and what it was is that they also benefited from a percentage of sales directly related to that
Mm.
setup, if you will, whether it was half of a wall or whether it was half the shop or whether it was just a display area, that was a benefit to them. And we recognized them each month in our newsletter to showcase their skills on what they did. So it became not only something they were excited about, but now it became a little competition within the team. So everybody took ownership of that and thought it was really special. And I never left anybody out. Even if we ran short on some of our inside team members, I'd pull someone from the outside team or even someone from
Oh.
our another department who they thought they could throw their skills in there too if they had some good background in that area. We just had a great team bonding by doing that, and it became something that everybody loved our golf shops for the most part because they know all the team was involved and they knew the product better because they took ownership of it.
That's so fun. And it sounds like it was probably a relatively low cost endeavor. It didn't require an extra investment beyond what you typically would have been doing. So I love that how you got everyone involved. And I know I talk about with our merchandisers putting things in the calendar, and that's would be one of those sort of things where it's just earmarked and you just go through the year and assign things to folks. So that's awesome. Another thing, kind of outside of the box, I know you talked about in a webinar with us in the past, was encouraging merchandisers to look beyond traditional vendors. So, whether that means looking at thrift shops, antique shops, local pop-up markets, maybe for props, what's the value in thinking creatively and borrowing ideas from outside the golf shop? And what success did you find with them in thrift stores or these other type of non-traditional approaches?
Yeah, and that's kind of ties in a little bit to my team where I said, I don't know where to find something. That's where some of the ideas came from. Go to a local thrift shop or go to, if you see something in a store, even if it's a dollar store, and you
Mm.
thought that'd be a cool addition to the display that we're putting together with my budget that I have to create this wonderful, awesome opportunity. And so that became also fun because who doesn't like to shop with stuff that they're not technically buying? Here's $100. Go buy some really cool stuff and make it part of your fixture and make it part of your display. And so that's where out of the box thinking came from. I will say that I stole one of my original ideas when I opened the bridges in Rancho Santa Fe from Scotty Cameron, who was one of my members and one of my dear friends, where he used to do that with his unique things that he built for his shop and things like that. He said he'd go to the old antique stores and he'd pull stuff like a Schwinn bike that had nothing to do with putting and had nothing to do with golf, but it looked so cool, he put it in there.
Mm.
So what did I do the next month? I went down to a thrift shop and I found the coolest Schwinn bike that was from the 50s. And I put it up on top of the where our hat rack was. And everybody said, "That's what is a bike doing in here?" I said, "It adds to our display what we're doing." And it turned out to be one of the coolest things we ever had in our golf shop. Think outside the box, even if it's not part of the actual thing you're selling, it's a draw. And it does set your shop apart because it's something, it's a talking point.
Mm.
And in addition to that, there's always a story. And so storytelling is so important. And I'll talk a little bit about that probably a little bit later with some other things I'd like to add. But I think that storytelling is part of selling, and selling is part of storytelling.
That's awesome. Did you ever have success in those items being items that were for sale as well, or was it more so items that would enhance the visual merchandising and the displays, but were they ever products that actually the customers ended up purchasing?
Great question. And yes, another person I stole the idea from, one of my old dear friends. He opened a golf shop years ago, and I didn't work for him, but I walked in there, and it was brand new golf course, brand new golf shop, and it had all this really cool, unique things in there, and the cool fixtures and cool side tables and really cool chairs. And I said, I've never seen a golf shop quite like this. You've got some really unique fixtures and some items in here that I've never seen. And if I could buy that chair, I would. He goes, you can. I said, what do you mean? He goes,
Oh.
no, everything that's not bolted down, Ed, is for sale in this golf shop. I said, you got to be kidding me. And I thought that was a really cool concept. And he did. He sold lamps, he sold furniture, he sold a lawnmower that was in there for a display. It was unbelievable. So having the thinking outside the box, I don't think you can't go too far when it comes to thinking outside the box and really looking how ideas like that, if it's not bolted down, should be for sale. And I said that to someone else at another shop, and they said, I'm not going to sell this picture. I said, why not? You can buy something even better and bigger and crazy or different looking. And I said, I never thought about it that way. So don't think that everybody's going to come in and buy all your fixtures. But if you have an opportunity to sell something that's not bolted down, I would encourage that as part of the process, because that also adds
Mm,
to constant change in the way
mm.
your shop looks as well.
I could see folks doing that with maybe like art on the walls they might have in their shop or decorative items that someone might want to purchase it. You never know.
True. And that gentleman's name is Rob Kohlhaas. In case he ever hears this, I
Okay.
give him credit. Rob Kohlhaas was the gentleman on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. So, with all your perspective and experience, what really continues to excite you about the future of the golf industry? And what do you hope the next generation of professionals carry forward?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think our industry is evolving very quickly and is going through a lot of change when you look at technology and things like that. But I think the one common thread, Justine, that'll never change in our industry is people. We
Mm,
are in the people business. We're serving people, we're helping people, we're face to face, we're our personality, we're a trustworthy person. Those are the characteristics and the traits that will not change 100 years from now. Golf shops will look different, technology will look different, but the people, the interaction that you have with a member or a guest or a vendor or a friend, it only comes from your personality, from your heart, and how good you do your job. But again, I always said this, and you probably live this too. I know when you do what you love, it's not a job. You get up in the
mhm,
morning and say, I love what I do. And that type of personality carries over to how you interact with people every single day. So I really think that it's the people business that we're in will not change. And we need to drive ourselves to continue to hire people that
mm,
it's a personality first. I can train a person to do anything. I can't train a personality. Either you have, or you don't. If you have a wonderful smile, you have a wonderful smile. I can't train that either. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to hire someone who can smile, but it all goes to how you outwardly are with people and just how unique they are and making people feel special. See,
mm,
think the next generation it needs to continue to do that. And I think that because sometimes with social media and people get hooked on electronics and TVs and our computers and our phones, which is our day to day life, that's exactly what it needs to be. And we're all doing that 24 hours a day. But when you're not doing that, the face to face, the interactions take more time. People need to continue to take time to have a conversation and enjoy a story. Like I said before, sometimes storytelling goes a long way with relationship building. So I think that is what the next generation of great professionals will continue to have is outgoing personalities and people that really want to get up and enjoy what they do, and you can see it in their work every single day. Just like
mhm.
when you go to, if anybody was at the PGA show and saw the Platinum Awards, my
Oh.
goodness, you see how the reaction on the people that were going up there to get those awards and what they did. And some of the people had 5 or 6 people or 7 people on their teams. It was just amazing. So just to see those stories and see what they had done and their experiences, that's just remarkable. So we need to keep that going.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning the Platinum Awards. It's always such a special morning of celebrating our award winners and them having their colleagues there. I know some folks even bring board members from their facility to watch them get their awards. So it's such a special, you can feel the excitement of everyone. So it's a special event.
It was like a concert without the rock music. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's awesome. Where do you see the greatest opportunities for growth in the next few years, whether it's types of roles or types of opportunities? Where do you see opportunities coming up for folks?
I think there's great opportunities to expand roles, job descriptions, and thinking again, when you talk about a typical, if I'm a merchandiser, what is a merchandiser job description? There is a atypical job description of a merchandiser, but if you are again continuing to think about where preparing for the future, you've got to add those more tools into what that job description is. Example would be AI or digital marketing or digital displays and more technology driven things in golf shops. And I think that's also going to be very social media. I think all those things, anybody who's not on Insta and doing things and showing off what they're doing in their golf shop is just not getting it already. So that's only going to increase over time. And the opportunities for someone to get up, climb the ladder, or take on a new role, or invent a new job description of maybe it's not there already.
Mm.
I don't know what that would be, but it could be in the retail space. It could be in the specialized in buying. It could be specialized in just merchandising and digital displays, not only just displays that are in your shop. I would also say too, you look at companies now that are on the forefront of that. A company like a DRS, Digital Revenue Systems, what they're doing with their displays and TVs in golf shops and
Mm.
display things too, and then market that back to the website for the clubs and things like that. That you can't always stock every single thing in the golf shop. And that
Mhm.
could be another thing too, where we have much more product. It's just not on the floor because you can't fit it on the floor. So don't think that we're just a brick and mortar. More shops that have already been doing this for a number of years keep back stock, do some stuff online. And I think that's the future because that's only going to create new job descriptions, new opportunities, not only for revenue generation for the clubs and resorts and companies, but also for the people in those roles. And the more that the more knowledgeable you are in those areas, and you become the expert on your team, even if it's just AI related, you are going to continue to climb more ladders, make more money, and be more successful, and make your club more successful.
Mhm. I like that you mentioned product that might not physically be in the golf shop, that you might digitally display what else could potentially be offered. I have been finding the last few years what I find the most interesting in golf retail is the things that are happening outside of the four walls of the golf shop. So, how folks are expanding upon that because everyone has limited storage space, everyone has limited display space. So, how can you sell more outside of that footprint, whether it is like a microsite or a pop-up shop, or maybe it's a robust online catalog? Maybe it's something in a different location on the property. So I think those are the really interesting things I'm seeing our members who are thinking outside the box develop as ways to sell more at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's 100% thing. Around properties is a big deal. And like you said, get out of the little four walls and
Hmm.
expand. That's going to be another huge thing to continue to do. If people are even doing it, look for other opportunities and ways to do that as well.
For sure. The more your members or your guests see your product and see your logo, they'll start to respond to it more. So
100%.
what do you think will define the most successful golf professionals in the next decade? And how can folks start preparing now to stay ahead of those changes and be ready?
Golf is in a really good place right now, and I think it's going to stay there for quite some time. We're on a really good wave, and I think in order to keep that going, it's going to take a number of things, and it really starts with the desire to play golf. And
Mm.
so keeping our members happy, keeping our members coming in, keeping our resort guests coming in or our public daily fee coming in, or if it's a brick and mortar store, golf store or whatever, why are they coming to your store? I think standout professionals, whether you're a golf professional, I would always say, again, try to help make yourself better. And part of that would be not afraid to fail. So people take chances when they want to do something out of the box and exciting. But what they don't do is sometimes people back off because they're afraid to fail. In the merchandise and retail world, and as a golf professional, I don't. There's no failing. It's just trying something that didn't work. So that's going to happen 152 times. So then try something else and try something else and try something else. So I think it's continuing to evolve and never feeling as though you're stale in anything whatsoever.
Mm.
And part of that is define success in the next decade. I think part of that, a big part of that puzzle is continuing to try to stay ahead of your members' needs. Try to anticipate more because things are moving so quickly, as we talked about. Anticipation will be probably one of the most used words in the next decade. If we
Mm.
continue to anticipate what they're thinking, what they're doing, and what they want, by obviously, we can get ahead of it a little by surveys and other things like that too. But trying to know your members even more on a more of an intimate level. And if you anticipate their needs, one, they're going to love it more. Two, they're going to buy more. Three, they're going to support you more. And four, that there's a relationship again. The more that you get to know your buyers, your members, and they know you, and they're not going to shop anywhere else. They're going to trust you. They're going to like you and say, Justine, why would I go anywhere else? I want to come see you. This is what I want to
Mhm.
do. So I think that's the defining factor for where professionals need to go is continuing to think on those lines, anticipation, and try to exceed expectations because you know what the next step is.
That's amazing. And for those young, maybe they're merchandisers or they're PGA professionals that are just getting started in the first few years of their career, what advice would you give them specifically about building a long, meaningful career in this business?
I'll try to keep this answer because I think that's a very valid question, and I love that question. I'll try to keep it under an hour. No, this one is very important because
Mm.
when you talk about, and again, as a career consultant and business consultant, that was one of the things that I was, and I still do. I still, luckily for me, I have a number of people that will come to me, call me, be referred to me for advice on
Mm.
what's the future look like, what are my
Mm.
options, what's the best direction can I go, what does my resume look like, how do I get to this club, all those types of
Mm.
things. And that's driven by people who are separators and people who are standouts. And there's a number of ways to get there. One, because we're in the people business, because we're in the relationship business network, I could say that 400 more times. You can never know enough people in this business. Anybody who, any place you go as a young professional, I've always said this, have some business cards in your pocket or your purse or wherever, because if someone doesn't ask for it, you give it to them. You voluntarily give it to them. Do you have one of yours? No, that's fine. Email me. Let's stay in contact, et cetera, et cetera. You're being the first person to reach out and make a new friend, and that's memorable. And having cards, and then I'll hear young professionals, whether it's a brand new merchandiser or a brand new professional at the club, and they say, "I don't have any cards yet. I'm not able to get cards." I said, "Go down to Kinko's and buy them for $25, and then
Right.
I'll pay for them. I'll buy your cards $25 because that's how important they are for starting relationships." And for people who think that cards are passe, they're not, because it's something still tangible. It's
Hmm.
something that someone won't forget. Again, once they have your information in your phone, I get it. They can throw the card away, but you started the conversation by handing them the card. That is so valuable. The other thing I would say, a couple other things I would say to young professionals in our coming into our business is continue to educate yourself until you forever, really. One of my famous sayings is if you stop learning, you stop trying. And so if you're a merchandiser, you want to become a PGA professional, go down that road. If you want a PGA professional, then try to be specialized, then certified, then master. If you're join the Association of Golf Merchandisers, then look into getting certified, look into other educational opportunities so you continue to separate yourself, not only against the competition, if you will, but to be better and better for yourself, better for your club, better for your employer and the people around you. So people love to see people that have achieved things, not in a braggadocious way, but because they care about what the future looks like for them. And I would say this that anybody on a resume, the more letters you have behind your name and the more things that have accomplished, it's only going to help you. It's not a competition. It's really just going to help you. And I would say to anybody, you're only competing against yourself. People would ask me, Justin, in interviews, how many people have applied for this job? It doesn't
Oh.
matter. You applied. It's
Mm-hmm.
you. Focus on yourself. Focus on it's all about Justine and what your future looks like, not the other 100 people that applied because it doesn't matter.
Mm.
And little things like that is building a long, meaningful career is focus on yourself. And sometimes I hate to say it because we're in the business of being so kind and so giving, and we're very selfless people in our industry. Every now and then we have to look in the mirror and be a little more selfish.
Mm,
And so I would not in again, not in a braggadocious way or a again, it's I'm telling you be selfish, but don't be too selfish. Where it's
right.
be honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses and what you can bring to any future team that you're looking to make a career change. And you know what? Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. I wouldn't be here today. I guarantee you wouldn't be where you are without a mentor, without asking for help along the way. If you think you're too proud to reach out and get advice from someone, you're making a mistake. The more, I probably make 10 mistakes a day, and I probably ask for help at least twice a day from a friend, from a colleague, from you, Justine. So it's those are the things that I would say are make standout people long term in this business is be humble and really do all you can to improve yourself while striving to help others along the way. And then if you get to a certain point where you can be a mentor yourself, do it because I will tell you we need more mentors in this business.
Yeah.
And if someone tells you, "Oh, I'm too busy right now." No,
Mhm.
no, come on. That's a cop out. We
Mhm.
all have time to help each other.
That's amazing. Everything you mentioned. Thank you so much for that advice. I'm sure it'll help hopefully lots of young merchandisers getting started. Everything you said certainly resonated with me, and I think it is fun when you start to see someone go from being the mentee to the mentor when they've moved up in their career and now maybe they're a head golf professional and they're able to start, help the younger folks that are coming in, whether it's interns or folks at their first assistant professional job. I think that's really amazing, which is what we want, right? Then to for folks to eventually be able to help the next generation coming in.
100%. And again, I'll just say one more thing about that. The next generation doesn't mean 24. The next generation in the business could be a second career and
Mm,
someone who's
yeah.
44 or
Yes.
and who maybe was in the military or just had a career change or a life change and said, "I love this business. How do I get into retail or how do I get to become a golf professional?" Let's never misunderstand the next generation as being 18, 22, 29. It's because age doesn't matter. It's about ability and what people are able to bring to you and to the people around you.
Absolutely. Yes. I know whether it's someone with a career change or maybe they got out of the business for 15 years and they loved it so much they're coming back. I know we've seen that on our end with merchandisers. So that's certainly a very important aspect. Thank you for mentioning that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ed. This has been so wonderful to talk with you. You're such a wealth of knowledge and hopefully inspiring for our members. So, thank you so much for being here. We always appreciate collaborating with you.
Justine, thank you, and thank you to everybody at AGM. You're all amazing. You're all moving the needle in our industry, and we can't thank you enough. And any last shout outs to anybody who's listens to this. If you have friends that are not part of the AGM, I know it sounds a plug, but it is. You have to join and you have to be part of it because what you'll get out of it is way more than you'll ever be able to put into it. So please join the AGM if you hear this and you're not already a member. So thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Really appreciate those kind words about the AGM. We always appreciate all your support.
Thanks,
And thank
Justine.
And thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Fairway to Retail Success. We really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy day to listen to us, and we hope to see you again soon in an upcoming episode. Take care, everyone.